opening that beer right away.
Ow!
Oh, that was a better pop than mine.
I busted a nut. I busted my nail. Look, everybody, this is your podcast for December 15th, 2018. How the fuck are you doing?
Not bad, not bad, not bad. I will destroy the existing order of things. So up, ye peoples of the earth. Up, ye mourners, ye pressed, ye poor. This is what that douchebag Wagner, was preaching in Dresden where we left off last time. Like I said, they offered that guy a dictatorship, and he takes that shit. No doubt.
They would have.
No doubt.
Yeah. We're back at it with Wagner Part 2. You know, if you haven't heard Part 1, Episode 18, it's a necessary prequel to what we're talking about today.
Definitely, because we're starting in the middle here. We're starting in the middle of his Leben.
So you just want to get into it here, or do you got anything you got to get off your chest first? I know that.
You know what we got?
Why don't you tell me where you just came from, huh?
Where did I come from? Oh. Dance, baby. Dance rehearsal.
Yeah? What kind of dance?
Yeah, I'm doing Kiss Me Kate.
Here, you talk. I got to chew this bread.
I'm one of the fucking gangsters, you know? Mm-hmm. I'm one of those fucking guys.
So what type of dance you doing?
Oh, you should see it. I could actually, if it weren't for my colleague on there also, whose permission I do not have to post,
Yeah.
I would put it up online. I thought I was fucking Gene Kelly out there.
You want to show me a couple steps?
Nah,
I can describe it to the listeners.
no, you could do it later, dude. But it's good. It's not bad. And I enjoy it. You know, you don't get the chance that often as an opera singer to do like choreography, like real choreography and stuff.
No.
It's fun.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, what I wanted to say is, people wrote in about the opera bro.
Yeah.
And I actually got to talk to the guy who called us opera bro. You know, when we first discussed that, we put that qualifier out there. We don't even know if we should talk about it because nobody meant any harm, and it's true. And people wrote in, maybe you guys took it the wrong way, and that's the thing. I didn't even know how to take it. We just kind of put that shit out on the air. So the guy did mean zero harm by it. We take no harm by it. He's writing a good blog out there. So
yeah. By the way, we if you write us, we'll actually fucking talk to you. You know. And it's interesting to meet these people, other people that are doing stuff out there. So, and by the way, just a quick side note: if you have written us and we haven't gotten it to you yet, we're trying to. It's just
there's a lot of people that write in,
and all of it's good, you know. And if you have projects that you think we might find interesting, I hope we can get to talk to a couple of the things people have sent us today. If we don't, then we'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we like hearing from you, and we actually talk to these people, you know?
So write in and talk to these opera bros on sex, drugs, and opera rose.
Yeah, even if you have a fucking problem with us, you know? Don't be scared. So, don't be scared. So, Wagner, right? When we left off, you want to do a recap? Or
Nah, everybody just listen to the last one.
I just listen to the fucking last one. Where we left off, Wagner had just gotten kicked out of...
Dresden.
Maybe we should start doing, like, last time on SDAO,
no,
right? But I could like cut up just like a couple voice clips from the last episode.
Dude, it's
over some dramatic music.
If you want to, that's your prerogative. But I could barely find the will to get out of bed in the morning. So
we barely. We this is another episode where we have an hour to do this, right? And then you have to go, right?
Yeah.
And I also got some appointments later, but I still feel rushed. But an hour is always an hour.
An hour's an hour.
Yes,
unless you're traveling closer to the speed of light, then hour is
don't do it. Yeah, but to you an
hour. It's an hour to you, but it's not an hour to everybody else.
Yeah, but an hour always feels like an hour to you.
Yeah, but that we might be able to jam some relativity into this thing because it feels like an hour to us, but I'll bet you to the rest of everybody out there it feels like 4 fucking hours.
What, a podcast?
Yeah, a podcast. Maybe that's because we're just traveling really fast when we're recording it. Who fucking knows?
No, that's an important thing to think about. Time's always the same, you know? When you're on stage and the song's 2 minutes, you know, let it be 2 minutes. Don't run to an audition, right? You know? All right. So last time we left off, Wagner was in Dresden, getting involved in a bunch of political shit. And then basically there was a warrant out for his arrest. So he fled to hang with a buddy in, how do you say Zurich in English?
Zurich.
Out in Zurich, Switzerland.
Oh, and this is so. Then at this point, I remember he took a break from composing for a while. Like, he was in the middle of some shit and then just said, nah, I'm not going to do anything for a while. And that's when he started writing. And that's when the Jew stuff started pouring out of him.
You're exactly right. He, okay, so in 1849, basically, 1850, this is when the Dresden stuff wrapped up last time, right? Go to Zurich, and I think through his Konecki's, he started getting some money from his friend's wife and her friend.
So
right?
Wesendonck.
No. This is
before Wesendonck, because
Wesendonck I think was
this was the time when after Dresden.
That's the poet. No, man, you're jumping ahead.
No,
you're jumping ahead.
Matilda Wesendonck and her husband, a wealthy German merchant, put him up in Zurich. They had a big villa where he and Minna lived at the bottom of their garden in like a guest house.
I know all this, but you're skipping what I'm talking about.
Now, what are you fucking talking about that? Because that was in Zurich.
Mike, what happened to our trust?
I don't know, dude. It's gone. It's out the window.
We used to have this trust between us.
All right, go. You tell me.
What I'm talking about is directly after he went to Zurich, right, in 1850, there was his friend Karl Ritter and his wife Julie. Okay, Julia or whatever, probably in German.
All right,
and so this woman Julia, his friend's wife, and her friend Jessie, they were giving him some cash. Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, well, explain that. I don't remember one.
This is before he wrote all his racist shit, right? They were giving him some money, and Wagner started banging the friend. Okay, he started banging Jessie, and he even, I think, tried to elope with her, and the husband was like, "Fuck that shit."
I don't remember this one.
I'm just saying, Wagner set up a habit of banging donors or banging their wives. Okay. And this started in Zurich. I didn't want to skip over it.
Okay, but
it's an important detail to me.
Then it was after that they lived with the Wesendonks.
Yes. That comes soon. But that's why I'm saying the dates, because in 1850 he moved to Zurich, and in his first year he did this stuff. And if you don't remember from the last one, he's still fucking married to Minna, right?
Still fucking married to her.
So anyway, he gets a little bit of money, tries to elope, doesn't work out, right? And
so what happened to her?
I think they're still hanging around, but I think he lost the money after that move. I think that's a no-no.
She's a lot less attractive after that money's gone.
Wagner did not give a fuck about don't shit where you eat, okay? That meant nothing to this man.
That's actually his mantra.
Yeah, so
shit in as many places that you eat as possible.
Shit over everybody. So anyway, I'm sorry. So then you're right. He didn't write much music in Zurich, and then he started writing some racist shit under a synonym.
Judaism in music.
That's right.
Was
that's
the
right.
name of the pamphlet he wrote.
And that was, I think, early 1850s, because he finished the Ring libretto after that. He was writing some libretto stuff, but music at that time he was doing like nothing.
Right.
So he wrote this thing. What was it called? Judaism in music.
Judaism and music, among a bunch of other pamphlets. But this is where he started to say that the influence. The bourgeois influence needs to be expelled from music, which he equated to French music then. Remember, he was a fan of the French music beforehand, and now it's just evil Meyerbeer Jew Frenchy, right? And this is what he's going after. By the way, this is a mega oversimplification. You're not going to be able to write evil Meyerbeer Jew Frenchy on a test anywhere.
Yeah, this is for entertainment.
Try to avoid that phrase.
This is not a citable source.
On SDAO University, you can go ahead and write that on the test. We accept that as an answer.
Yeah, are you taking that bottle apart over there?
I'm just drinking. I'm fondling my bottle.
All right, so Wagner wrote some racist shit, but he didn't put it under his name until later, right? So it was also around his time he wrote something where he didn't want his works to be called operas anymore, right? You remember that?
Right. This is where he started to come up with the idea of Gesamtkunstwerk.
Yeah, they're dramas.
Right, musical dramas.
Not even, did he say musical dramas or just fucking dramas?
I thought he said musical dramas.
I don't know, but he did not want them, because I think also, I don't know, he liked to kind of create terms, because then it helped his flip-flopping. Because we said in the last episode, he's a flip-flopping, dick-slopping motherfucker, this guy.
But the thing is, I think it's even better. I think it's worse than that. I think every time he has an idea, he believes that history starts over, that history begins with his idea.
Yeah, because he always denounces everything before that.
Right.
Because when he came up with this, like, my operas are now called dramas, I think he also said, and everything else before this moment was fucking shit, right? So I think around this time he was... he was working on Tristan, wasn't he?
Right. Okay. Now we got to get to Wesendonck, because some people say there are parallels between him starting Tristan, this love story that can only be consummated by death, right? Love so intense it can only be consummated by death. That came apparently from, or that some people argue, although it seems pretty unconvincing, the parallels between the two. It came from his relationship with Mathilde Wesendonck, right? Now, this is what I was saying. So the Wesendonks, they were new money, and they got, when you're new money, the one thing you got to start doing is you got to start supporting the arts.
But did the money come, because she was a poet, her husband was a silk merchant.
Right, he was a merchant, and they...
did the money come from him? Or
yeah, the fucking poet's not making a Zurich mansion with garden house and bullshit. She's not making that kind of dough.
That's true, okay.
No way.
All right.
Anyway, so she was 23 and married to this old silk merchant, right? And then comes the 5'3" Wagner and sweeps her off her feet. But okay, so Minna is living there with him, right, on this estate, and he's clearly in love with her. But wait, okay, so I was watching something, a documentary in preparation for this, and this one historian said one of the most disgusting things I've ever fucking heard. I threw up in my mouth a little bit whenever he said it. He said. He said, well, whether there's a connection to Mathilde Wesendonck and Tristan, I don't know if we need to go sniffing the bed sheets to make that conduct. I'm like, what? Sniffing the bed sheets? You sick, disgusting, fuck you. Sniffing the bed sheets is one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard. But
I'm taking it.
But it is way descriptive. I got to say that. It created a visceral reaction in me when this guy said, I don't know if sniffing the bed sheets will bring us any light, whether there is some truth to the Wesendonks and Tristan. But the thing is, that's why Minna broke up with him.
Well, she intercepted a letter.
Right.
She intercepted a letter that Wagner had sent to... what was her name? Matilda, right?
Yeah, Matilda. He's like, can I touch your Wesendonck?
If you want to Wesendonck this, you gotta... That's a good name.
I got your fucking Wesendonck right here, huh? I got 2 fucking donkeys.
He must have been a goddamn stud, this guy, because everywhere he went,
No, he just... I'm not sure if you... you don't mean physically, right?
Charming or something. I mean, he was...
Look, Napoleon wasn't a very tall guy either, but he conquered Europe, I think it's just a conqueror. It's why it's really good this revolution in Dresden didn't work out, because Hitler might have happened a lot sooner, and his name would have been Wagner. Can you imagine? Nobody's named. It
could have happened. But Hitler's artwork is okay. The guy could paint.
Now it was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay, but it was amateur at best. I mean, this is obviously a difference. Yeah, don't make a fucking...
All right. So Wagner's writing love notes to Matilda. Minna intercepts one, and she says, fuck this noise. They're still married, right? She goes to Germany, and then Wagner goes to Vienna,
and
right?
Apparently, except for one brief reconciliation, that was the last time he saw her.
Right. Later in, somewhere.
Not
in Paris
Vienna.
Or somewhere.
Not Vienna. Venice.
Later...
He went to Venice.
Or did he go to Venice?
He went to Venice.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I get those two confused all the time, too. Just because of the Vienna, Vienna.
Like, also these are called different things in German. It's tough.
That's true.
He went to Venice.
That's right.
Okay, so Wagner's bathing out on Venice Beach out there. And he basically, he hung out until 1862, right? He went back to Germany, right?
Right.
Didn't do much. 1862, he was allowed to go back into Germany, but he was poor as fuck.
Right.
Right? And then you ready to go for the king?
Oh, baby! He was a prince at that point.
No, but
in
1864, I think he became, at the age of 18, he became the king, right?
At 18, I guess it was. But hey, so this is Ludwig II, by the way.
Right.
This is Ludwig II, the guy who everybody, when they think of Germany, they think of Neuschwanstein Castle, right? And that's this guy who built it. And by the way, it should be noted, it's not even an accident that Neuschwanstein looks like the sets of Wagner's operas. Ludwig was actually so into Wagner's operas that Neuschwanstein was modeled after the sets, after the proposed sets to The Ring and to Parsifal and stuff like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. It's straight up modeled after it. And, this guy, so Ludwig, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Richard Old Dicky Vag, he finally found somebody who could give him the money that he thought the universe owed to him.
Right.
Before that, he was scraping along, going to this duke or that duke, and going like, "Hey, give me some dough, Duke." And he said, and finally got some in the person of old Ludwig II.
And by old, you mean 18-year-old Ludwig.
Oh, yeah, he's old now.
Well, yeah, but he was 18, and the other thing is he loved Wagner's music, but he also was into Wagner as a person. He was gay.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, he was gay.
See, it's good that there are two of us. It's good there are two of us.
We focus on different details.
Yeah.
Yours are more academic than mine. Mine are more like tabloid.
Did he like him? Did he like his Wiesendorf?
No,
what?
dude. He was gay, and he expressed this in letters to Wagner.
I didn't know that.
And Wagner kind of played along.
I'll bet.
He kind of played along. He didn't say yes, but he didn't say no. You know, like, you know how it was back then. You were like, I'm an admirer of your music, and like you as a person, like you were very subtle with the way you would say this stuff.
The way I imagine
you know
your music slipping into my ear. Just fucking.
So
that was subtle.
So yeah, I mean, they were talking and stuff, and they were getting to know each other, and the king like brought him to Munich and paid off all his debts.
Yeah, this is before Ludwig was king.
Was he still a prince at this point?
He was still a prince at this point because he paid off his debts, and it was like, all right. I'm jumping all around here. Wagner posted the poetry, or he published the poetry to the Ring, with a preface saying, and this is no joke. Again, this is as subtle as me saying your music slips so nicely into my ear, right? He prefaced this thing with, this is the work of the future. This is what art needs to be. But I'm so strapped for cash, I cannot recognize this vision. If only there were a prince out there who could rescue me. So now that I know the whole gay, that Ludwig was after him, right? Or liked him. Now, obviously, he's playing towards that. If only there were a prince who could rescue me. Now it's even more fucking diabolical. So...
Jesus.
This is what's interesting. So there's this big old, I can't remember what the Maximilianstraße or the Maximilianweg, right?
Where?
Who was named in Munich, was named after Ludwig's grandfather, this Weg. And at the end of it, there's this huge, imposing piece of architecture.
Okay.
The original plan was that Wagner was going to build his theater right next to it with a little tiny Weg, Weg or Gang or
path,
street. Like a promenade going straight into it. And it was going to be such a grand scale that even today, by today's standards, it would still be the largest opera house in the entire world.
Wow.
If it were done today. But of course, that cost a fucking fortune. So this pissed off old Ludwig's parents. And they thought, well, you're giving this guy way too much money. Banished again.
They banished Wagner.
Exiled out of Germany again, baby. The next time he goes to fucking Zurich is when he got exiled again by the parents.
Okay. Now we're jumping around.
No, it's true though.
Yeah, I thought he got kicked out of Munich for the affair he had there.
You mean with Winifred?
With Cosima.
Cosima, that's what I mean. Yeah, Liszt's. By the way, so Liszt, we're really jumping around, but people, you're listening, so you can fucking handle it, right?
I barely
The last time, the first time he went to Zurich, he did so with the help of Liszt.
Okay. Yeah,
right? Liszt was his fucking buddy, right?
Yeah.
His fucking buddy, right? Went there, and when he was in Munich, there was what was his name? Von Bülow. This conductor.
Yeah, Hans von Bülow.
Hans von Bülow and Cosima.
Well, let me jump in there.
Yeah.
Let me jump in there. So in Munich, he had his premiere of Tristan, right? Right? And it actually was delayed because creditors busted the first show coming for Wagner, right? You remember that?
I don't, but that's why there are two of us.
And the conductor of this premiere was this guy, Hans von Bülow. And Wagner started fucking his wife.
Yep.
And his wife was Cosima, right?
And that is the daughter of Liszt.
And that's I think, stepdaughter of Liszt.
Is it the stepdaughter? Are you sure?
I don't know. Liszt is somehow her dad. Okay?
Somebody write up.
It's either the
Write us up.
I think it's the stepdad. Doesn't
I
matter.
just remember reading he's the daddy.
Whatever, man. So he raised this girl either way, I think. But this isn't about Liz, so fuck that guy.
It's a little about List.
But they were also buddies, which was the point Mike was making.
Right.
List and Wagner's buddies. Wagner starts fucking his daughter, which is already wrong, Wagner. Already wrong, but not that wrong. But he's also fucking the conductor of his premier's wife.
Right.
In the same person. You know what I mean? He's like, fucking my donors' wives, okay? That's child's play.
It's like that
I'm gonna go for the double play. I'm gonna fuck my friend's daughter and my colleague's wife in the same fucking...
It's like that Seinfeld whenever George tries to combine food and sex.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, what if I could add TV at the same time?
It's too much.
And Seinfeld says, why don't you try meeting one of her needs instead of satisfying all of yours?
But Cosima,
That's Wagner.
But the crazy thing about Wagner is he wasn't just banging these people, is that they always wanted to elope with him.
Right.
You know, it was more than just that donkey dick he was packing.
That
it was
Basin donkey dick.
It was that these women would fall in love with him, and he I think would fall in love back. He wanted to run away from whoever he was with and marry all of them.
Every idea he had, history starts with that, which means that every time he falls in love, history started there. It doesn't fucking matter.
Insightful.
But the thing is, this is the one he stayed with. Cosima is who he ended up with.
Yeah, but she asked for a divorce from her husband, and he said no.
Right,
The conductor said no. Wagner had to put 3 babies in her until that her husband finally said yes.
Right. And the other thing is that Minna, when he first started making those sweet Wagner children, right? Cosima or Wagner Minna was still alive.
Yeah.
So she had to die before he could officially marry her. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. But before that, he got fucking kicked out of Munich, baby.
Right. So this all went down in Munich, right?
Right.
And then so he's married Cosima, and then the next big thing in his life, I think, is when he goes to Bayreuth, right?
So,
or what happened before that?
So after the whole opera house didn't work out in Munich because it was Wagnerian scale. You know, it's funny. People still say Wagnerian to mean huge now. And it's true. Everything he did, he was trying to compensate for that tiny Wagner dick he had, you know? Like that what's it called? A chode?
The hockey puck?
The hockey puck. That's right. Every time that hockey puck came out, he had to build a new huge theater. Now, there was an idea to build it in Lucerne. Like he wanted to, did you know this? He wanted to build it out on the lake. Mm-hmm. So it would be built out in the lake.
The opera house.
The opera house. Okay. And then the people would be on shore, which there are... there's one in Germany. There's an opera festival in Germany that does that now.
There's a couple other places that copy it, I think.
And he was the first one who came up with that idea and have the mountains in the background. But of course, you know, that's the weather changes violently in the mountains, so right. That shit's not happening. And then he finally came to Bayreuth, right? Mm. And I'm pretty sure this is when old Ludwig's parents died, and then Ludwig's like, "Fuck this! I can do what I want."
Yeah.
Wait, can I say something about Ludwig? By the way, it came up again, or it came in my mind again. I have conversations in my head the same time we're doing these things, and somebody was just yelling at me saying, "Say this!
I believe
say this!" He grew up. This Ludwig grew up.
Man? You and your pronouns.
Yeah,
man.
I know. Ludwig grew up.
Yeah.
In this one castle, which if you go there today, has all paintings of all the Teutonic legends, all the German legends of Lohengrin and Tannhäuser, and before these operas existed, but of course just the legends, all painted on the walls. So he grew up just fascinated with these fucking knights he was seeing, right?
Oh, okay.
And even in his one thing, do you know Tannhäuser at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Not really.
So Tannhäuser... at the beginning of it, he is just in Venus's... it's called Venusberg, right? Okay. He's in Venus's fucking place, and everybody's just getting laid.
That's right.
And drinking, and it's just the best shit ever.
Sounds like a good time.
And then all of a sudden, he just up and outs. I can't remember the reason he gave to Venus, right? It wasn't good enough.
It was a funny
one. But he gave
I can't remember. Okay.
So then he goes out of there, but Ludwig created a little... grotto in one of his things that was called like the Venus grotto or something like that.
Like in a castle or something.
In one of his castles.
Okay,
so he was really into this shit, which when you have then this 5'3" fuck come along and say, hey, by the way, all that shit you love, I'm doing all that. I'm doing all of it. All of it.
Yeah.
Then, of course, he's in.
That's true. I just want to,
Get back to your list, dude. Not your Franz list.
I wanted to look up if I could see. I'm looking up Tannhäuser. He had held willing captive in Venus in her grotto. I just want to see if I could find why he left. It hit me. Why would he leave?
I think he just had a moral dilemma. Like, should I be getting blown all day long?
It's just, I'm speed reading, and it's like following the orgy of the ballet. Tannhäuser does, it's like, are finally satiated, and he longs for freedom, spring, and the sound of church bells.
Satiated?
Yeah, he busted all his nuts.
Every single nut he had.
And then he longed for spring, freedom, and church bells.
Oh, my God.
Because he was held captive by the orgies.
What a douche. Hey, so, by the way,
Anyway,
that orgy music, that Bacchanalia, right?
Yeah.
So Tannhäuser had his premiere. And then later it was put on in Paris. He made his way back to Paris again after all this shit. If I'm skipping stuff, if I'm not going to your liking of the fucking chronology, then just fucking correct me. But he reworked that music specifically.
You could be spontaneous, but then you got to use some fucking names.
Some not pronouns.
Like 50 years earlier, when he talked to her.
Was talking to her.
Yeah.
And then she came in the room and they're like, who is that?
And then he was like, no.
What's the deal with Wagner?
He's in Paris. Tannhäuser premiere in Paris. Wagner, yeah.
And he reworked that music, the Bacchanalia music. You got to fucking listen to that stuff. Oh, my God.
The Orgy Jam. Yeah.
The Orgy Jam, baby.
That's good shit.
Getting your dick wet music.
Someone out there has listened to that while having sex to it before.
Hopefully.
You know what I mean?
Except that's some angry Wagner
but
sex.
It's crazy. There's someone out there for everyone. And if you're someone out there who, thinks putting on Wagner's orgy music is sexy, there's someone out there for you.
Definitely.
Just keep searching, man.
All kinds of people out there.
Like you got your smoking jacket on. You drop the needle, and
don't get frustrated. Don't get frustrated. There's somebody out there who will be like that. And you got hell of a smoking jacket.
The Carmen overture or something.
Now, can I put your hockey puck in my mouth?
Just banging away to that.
Whap, 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 whap.
There are two people out there that are into that, and if that's you, can you write us and let us know what your sex playlist
levels,
is,
dude? We've been.
It's fine.
Hoping that we're not ruined.
No, it's fine. But listen, if you got a classical music playlist that you have sex to, can you write me in and let me know what that
definitely
that is?
Okay, so let's pick up.
All right, so Wagner goes to Bayreuth, right? That's where we are. 1871.
Sure, which by the way, this beer we opened up is the third Bayreuth beer that we had.
I think we never said it. This is the Land beer this time.
Which one is it? The Landbier. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It's darker. I like that dark stuff.
Oh, you like the dark stuff.
So so I think in the beginning
vollmundig Natur belassen. Oh, wie freudig.
So Wagner goes to Bayreuth, and they buy a big old fucking piece of land for him to build an opera house on.
Genau.
Right? And his buddy Ludwig at this point didn't want to finance the project. Actually, in the beginning. So Wagner had to go set up these Wagner societies all over Germany, which still fucking exist.
I was a recipient of it.
Yeah.
I went to Bayreuth because he said for every performance, there has to be a certain amount of tickets reserved for this Wagner Verband. And those have to be given. It's like the one decent fucking thing this guy did in his life is this Wagner Verband. And thank God it's still going.
Yeah, these are still in every city. If you look it up online, there's still in like most cities a Wagner club, You're chugging that thing, dude.
Here's to the one good thing Wagner did.
I just saw Mike drink half a beer for no goddamn reason.
I want to get to your Czech beer, baby.
All right, okay, we're almost done with Wagner. So he goes to Bayreuth. They give him a piece of land. He can't afford to build a big fucking opera house like he wants to. Starts a bunch of Wagner clubs. He raises a third of the money only, and then Queen Ludwig steps in and gives him a loan for the rest.
Yeah.
Right? So then his old buddy does this. They have the premiere of The Ring there. It leaves the theater so fucking broke that it can't have a festival for more years, And then that's kind of we're at the end of his life by now, I think. And one of the last.
I mean, after Bayreuth, I barely give a fuck. He died in Venice.
Yeah, he died during the run of Parsifal, and it's rumored, it's not confirmed, that he died from a heart attack because his wife at that point, Cosima, caught him cheating with one of the flower girls or something like
No shit.
that. That's a rumor, that happened. But I would totally believe it when you look at the rest of that guy's life.
Definitely.
That's Wagner, man.
Let's just say as fact that's how he died. He died mid-stroke
you will say
in a flower girl when Cosima
when she
came
busted in.
Which, by the way, I saw poor Cosima, right?
Poor every woman that man ever talked to, man.
So apparently Cosima. I saw this one biographer say, she the great beauty that was Franz Liszt's daughter,
Okay.
and then she took the time to say, I didn't necessarily think she was a beauty. I thought she looked like a horse. And I'm like, well, you didn't have to fucking
said
say
that?
This biographer that they interviewed. I'm like, well, what the fuck? Why do you have to say that? Yeah, she was a little horsey.
Jeez, you turned yourself down, man.
She was a little horsey, but
Yeah.
but whatever. You don't have to say that. Poor girl. Apparently, her big thing was
just roasting dead people. Not cool.
She loved listening to Wagner talk. Loved it.
Yeah, that's probably why he liked her so much.
That is the thing you need to have if you're going to be a Wagner wife.
Yeah.
You got to fucking love that shit.
If you're a talker, you got to find a non-talker. Okay, 2 talkers don't go together, just like 2 listeners don't go together.
We're talkers.
Yeah,
we're talkers,
but we're
and
medium.
listeners.
We're medium. We're
Mike, giving and taking.
You and I are
Wagner's
just a perfect.
just taking the whole fucking time.
He's just long stroking, ball slapping,
chode deep,
chode stuffing the whole time. But that's what's funny, man. Like Wagner. Okay, like let's have some perspective. There's got to be a name for that, like pushing gumdrops or something. That's how
the
this
best thing ever was that South Park thing, Push and Pickle.
Present pickle.
Present Pickle. They were talking about putting your penis up against glass or something. Present Pickle.
What's that called
guys.
when it's a word and it's like, is that an alliteration?
An alliteration with the 2 P's, Present Pickle.
Yeah, I don't know why we like that so much as humans, but we do.
Best.
Look, the thing about Wagner is, like, he did do great stuff, right? He did do amazing stuff, and he is worth being celebrated. But just sometimes when I sit in history class and I watch these documentaries, they also talk about these people like they weren't fucking normal people.
Right, they are.
You know what I mean? Like, I wish
he didn't think that, but
I would love to be alive in like 1860 and like see how the world was talking about Wagner when he was current. You know, because we see that now. Like, we talk about Michael Jackson when he was alive. We talk about Celine Dion or whoever the fuck is like influential in music, Domingo. But then 100 years from now, when they're talking about them in the past, I wonder what they'll say about these people.
So the thing is, there was one faction of Europe.
Yeah.
That
can you jam for a bit while I get the beer?
Yeah, there was one faction of Europe that did not want to have anything to do with Wagner, and that was Britain. So the critics in London, nice, dude. The critics in London wanted nothing to do with him. The problem is they were saying that about his music, right? And they were wrong about that. They had all kinds of shit they could have said it about. Oh, by the way, how are we doing on time?
We're about halfway there.
Oh, nice. So the one thing is that when he got to the end of his life, when I picked Jared up to come record this, we listened to this one part, just this like 1.5 minute thing of this documentary I was listening to on the way here. And it said that Cosima said in her either biography of him, I don't know if she wrote a biography of him, but it was in letters about him or something, that he really started to double down on this evil Jew thing in the end of his life. And I'm going to tell this story because I think it needs to be heard.
Okay.
Because I'm going to say, we're going to talk about this Jewish thing for a little bit here because it's important to talk about.
Yeah.
There are he actually said to List at one point that his anti-Semitism was as important to him as plasma is to blood.
And people downplay that sometimes. It might have sounded like I downplayed it in the last episode because I said, look, you have to recognize what an enormous musical genius this was, how incredible these pieces were. But that being fucking said, this guy was reprehensible. Yeah.
Fucking worse than anything. I'm going to say what he said, all right?
Okay.
And it's awful.
Okay.
Apparently, at one point, I can't remember where the synagogue was. Do you remember?
In which city?
That's exactly what I'm asking you. I said I can't remember where it was, and you said in what city?
The synagogue.
The synagogue where it burned down and something like 400 Jews died.
That one. Yeah, I don't know.
So
I forgot you were talking about that documentary.
In his time, there was a synagogue that burned down, and like 400 Jews died in it, right? And at this point, he started writing about how the inferior races, the problem of the inferior races and how they could be dealt with, which he came up with some fucking crackpot idea about the infusion of the blood of Christ has to be made into their, which I guess he meant the Aryan race. I guess that's what he meant.
Okay, yeah.
But he said the infusion of the blood of Christ had to happen in the inferior races, one of which was the Jews, right?
Okay.
So this guy was really a fucking likable guy, I guess.
Didn't they say in the documentary that...
Wait. Or do you want to say it?
No, yeah.
And then he said, maybe it's better if they all burn.
Yeah. Fucked up.
Talking about Jews.
Yeah,
Talking about the Jews that burned there.
Yeah.
Now, I never heard anything so fucking like, whoa, now that is Hitler material right there.
Yeah, we reacted hard to that. That was shocking to hear.
We shut it off and we're like, whoa!
We're like, what the fuck?
Whoa, Dickie Vag, calm down.
No, I mean...
Jesus.
I mean, okay,
Jesus.
I don't know how much he influenced the things that then came later in history, but like...
He didn't cause them.
But he was a goddamn...
existed before then.
Yeah, of course, but I mean, Hitler was an artistic person. Yeah, he bought Wagner's Rienzi or whatever opera, and he had the original score, which I think then burned or got lost. But Hitler bought that shit. Like he had that.
I mean, Hitler could whistle. It was one of his party tricks. Hitler could whistle all the leitmotifs from The Ring. Right? And there are a bunch of fucking leitmotifs from The Ring.
Dude was a huge fan, and Wagner, his writings were out there, you know? And, you know, read some of the stuff Wagner wrote sometime, you know?
Fucked up.
Just read some of it. But what else did I want to say about that, man?
I don't know. I just think it should be put out there. Like, it is clear to us and should be clear to everybody that this man, even aside from the Jewish question, was a reprehensible man, right? But when the Jewish question comes in, man, was he fucked up?
Oh, sure.
Was he fucked up?
Yeah, I wonder about Liszt. You know, I got to do some research on that guy. Because,
I don't know anything about him, really.
Yeah, but the thing is like, when I meet someone who's just like an extreme racist, you know, and then I meet their friend, you got to be suspicious of the friend.
Definitely. There's no way
you and I are
fucking
friends.
his daughter. He's fucking and marrying his daughter.
Yeah.
They are eng as shit or tight as shit.
Yeah.
And he's helping him escape to Zurich and stuff like that. There's no way he doesn't know about this. It's not like he's just sitting there and all of a sudden it comes up. Yeah, I was writing some and then this Jew came in and Liszt was like, what? What?
Yeah.
No way.
No, was he cool with it? And he just
No.
let it, did he let it, like when your grandparents say something racist, you just let it go under the rug? Was it that type of thing? Or was he like, talking?
He was a lot older than Wagner.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're really good friends with somebody who's extreme like that, I'm suspicious of you.
I couldn't say, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
I fucking doubt it.
So you want to tip it up or what?
Yeah, let's tip it up. So anyway, wait. Let's put a kibosh on this Wagner thing, right?
Okay.
I want to say something personal about it, right?
Okay.
In doing this stuff, in looking into Wagner's life, right?
Right.
Man, I think he was even more of a dick than I expected when I was going into all this, right?
Yeah.
But also in researching it, I listened to a lot of his music again.
Yeah.
Every single time I listen to it, I can't take how blown away I am by it.
Oh, that's funny. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, I realized he was more of a dick than I realized, but I also realized that his music was more genius than I had thought.
It's incredible.
He grew on both ends in researching him. You know?
That's right. I mean, honestly, so it's something that you have to deal with, you know? It's something that you have to deal with whenever dealing with art, is that art, in the end, ends up saying something, if it's good, that's universal.
Right.
Which means that, does Wagner's art say something universal about human nature that is relatable? And if so, then I am glad it came out of him, and I'm glad he's dead and rotting in the ground. And I wish he would have composed all of his music, and then some guy would have come up and punch him in the fucking face and cut off his nuts, and then he died.
Jesus.
I don't mean to get all fucking morbid on you, but the guy deserved to be punched in the face.
Yeah, sure. At least elbow on top of the head.
Maybe
At least like a Donkey
if
Kong.
you're just swinging at your normal height, you're not gonna hit him.
No, you're gonna be hitting there. You got Donkey Kong like you're trying to get the bananas from the top of the palm tree.
So people, listen to his music, because there's some of it that is unmatched.
But before your Wagner boner gets too throbbing, read some of the shit he wrote and tone it back. Just don't become.
That's right. That's right. Because there are people that's
yin
the
and
thing.
yin and yang, baby.
That's the thing, is that people get culty about Wagner.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't see it as much in America, but people get fucking culty about Wagner.
Yeah, but then they hush up real quick when you start talking about the bad stuff.
Well, they don't give a shit about Wagner, or they don't give a shit about his personal stuff. But an even thinking person, an objective person, should or has the responsibility to take all accounts into account, or all aspects into account.
Yeah, sure.
So when doing this, you got to take the good with the bad and recognize both for what they are. Fuck Wagner. Yeah, The Ring is awesome. Sorry, that's how I feel. Fuck that man. The Ring is incredible.
That's a good summary. You know?
Hey, if you have an SDAO university, which by the way, we need another SDAO university.
There's a lot of things
thing soon. But homework for you. All you have to do is listen to the Vorspiel, the prelude of Rheingold.
Okay.
It's the most incredible music ever.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what it was like hearing it in Bayreuth in his time with all the lights off, all the fucking candles out.
Yeah.
You have just the orchestra down in the pit, I went to Bayreuth on this Wagner Verband, right?
Yeah.
This Wagner Society. It is the best opera house that exists. Period. You have this huge ass orchestra, but it's covered. Nobody can see it, which also sort of decks the sound, right?
Yeah, it makes it like a bit darker, yeah.
And you can hear every word singers say on that stage.
Damn.
Now, imagine that you have all those lights out, and I'm going to speak to you like you know what it is, but if you don't know what it is, you have to listen to it. It starts... The idea is that you're starting at the bottom of the Rhine, the Rhine River, right? And you are coming up through the waves, right? And it starts like this, these low tones. And there are these waves of music that just pour in gradually, and you rise out of it. And at the top, you have these 3 Rhine maidens that come out and are singing about the or whatever the fuck it is. It's incredible.
Damn.
It is absolutely incredible. And I just imagine what it must have been like to have those candles out, and then like the fucking curtain go up and see all this. It really is something special, which is why you can't just dismiss it.
No, it's true. Like,
give me my beer, dude.
Well, hold on. Let me say something, okay?
Okay. Say something.
Yeah, no. Like if I list my top like 5 favorite arias, like 4 of them would be Wagner arias. You know what I
Really?
mean? Yeah, I swear to God. Like the ones that I've worked on. You know?
Okay, which?
Dutchman, right? Hans Sachs.
Hans Sachs, the fucking
Was
Festwiese.
duftet. Yeah. That is an amazing piece of music. You know what I mean? That aria.
No, I'm thinking of the other one. I'm thinking of the end.
No, I'm doing. I can't remember the words. The was duftet nur die whatever.
Yeah.
It's was doch.
Was duftet doch der Flieder.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. So anyway, that's a good one.
That's like the third act.
Yeah, and of course, also like O du mein holder Abendstern. Everyone sings that, but that doesn't make it not a beautiful piece of music.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like these, and also as a bass baritone, the amount of writing he did for low voices, I appreciate. Yeah.
Yeah, come on, you got
it.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let me get my beer out, huh?
Let's get some beer and do some tippy tip.
So when I was in Prague recently, and cool place. But when I go to a new city, a new country, I don't always drink the specialty beer. I want to drink their fucking Miller Lite.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like in northern Germany, that's Beck's Jefer. Here in Frankfurt, it's Binding, right?
Yeah.
In Düsseldorf and Cologne and
Kölsch.
Yeah,
Kölsch.
they got Kölsch, they got Alpi and Düsseldorf. Every place has its beer. This is the beer from this place. You know what I mean? And even in the States, it's Coors in this place. Where I'm from in Seattle, it was Rainier beer.
We got Iron City.
Iron City. Yeah. Rainier beer out in Seattle. And in Prague, this was I don't know how to fucking say this. Is that a T? Staropramen?
Staropramen, yeah.
Anyway, this is the Miller Lite of fucking Prague. This is a brewery in Prague that makes this.
This is good stuff.
And this is the stuff where when you drive around at every bar, they have a fucking like sign outside saying they have this beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I go to a new place, I always like to have that experience.
Awesome.
Just like when I'm in San Francisco.
When in Rome, fugger.
No, it's true. I don't want to do the tourist shit every time I go somewhere. So cheers.
Cheers.
All right, let's tip it up. Hold on. Here we go. All right, let me get this ready. A bit unprepared here.
Should I moan before you? Oh my god.
Mike,
Oh my god.
it's getting too dirty what you're doing. It's conflicting me, you know what I mean? Like just
I have that high voice that could be mistaken for a girl's.
yeah, man. You know, Mike.
Oh my god.
Let's just do it live. Let's really get
You got to get out
in a
your
gray
bass
area.
then.
Oh yeah. What the fuck am I doing here? Okay, let me pull up my Gmail here. Let's do this one first, huh?
Do whatever you got to do. Get down and dirty.
Again, I'll tell you, this person wrote in through the website, which has flawlessly allowed people to remain anonymous since its release.
Thank you, website.
Thank you, website. Okay, here we go. Hi, guys. I'm a student in voice. Wondering what you guys think of groups like Il Divo, who are actually, for most of them, classically trained singers, but doing shows with mics, singing pop songs, opera style, and singing actual arias in between. Pagliacci's aria, followed by a samba song. I myself was uneasy witnessing this happen. I work as an usher. Is this type of crossover actually helping?
You know, is that the end, or do you want to?
No, that's. I had to let it wash over me. What I just read.
We covered this at one point beforehand. Kind of.
Yeah.
All we said was basically don't shit on it. You don't know how somebody's going to get into the art form, which is important.
Yeah, right.
Let's cover it a little bit more. The one thing that just hit me like a ton of bricks is how many fucking times have I heard an opera singer bitch about having to not cross genres frequently, but to sing, I have to sing Tamino, and then all of a sudden, the next day, I have to go and practice Verdi. How am I supposed to be able to do that?
Right.
You have these classical singers going on a concert and singing, I don't know, like New York, 3 tenor style, and then going and singing Pagliacci.
Yeah.
Give him a fucking break.
That's hard to do. That's
Give
true.
him a break.
That's true. That's a good point. If you don't have at least a little bit of flexibility, there's a lot of gigs out there where they're going to need you to sing some sort of theater, some sort of song stuff that's not your most comfortable, happy place of singing.
Right.
That's true. Look, man, I think you're young or woman. Sorry. Just hi, guys. Whoever you are. Pagliacci's aria. Do you mean Canio's aria?
Yeah.
You got to get it more clear.
No, that's what he
opera
means,
terms,
of
man.
course. He means.
Because Pagliacci means clowns. You know what I mean? And then Mike's is spelled with a C, man.
Shut the fuck up, dude. Don't get so.
No, I'm fucking with you.
So
I'm
shitty.
fucking with you. This podcast is Mike and I are sitting down at a bar, and you just sat at the table and said this shit. There's a bunch of fucking beer bottles on this table. You're gonna get a bit of shit before you get some advice.
That's right.
That's how this works. All right. Listen, back off. All right?
All right, go for it. You got shit to say.
You go for the high mark, man.
I just thought
No, it's too late. It's too late. You can't. You're a lap dog. All right. The last thing you wrote was, is this type of crossover actually helping? And that's interesting to me.
That is interesting.
Helping what? To popularize opera? If by popularizing opera you mean appealing to the masses, then yeah, it's helping. If you're talking about keeping opera alive as an art form, then I guess that's a different conversation.
Yeah, but again, so this is what kind of pisses me off. When people talk, he didn't piss me off, but what pisses me off is the idea that you control culture. You don't. Culture is an organic thing. It's something that fucking happens. And when other people are using different bits of culture in one way, then that is the sort of natural mixing of cultures that is supposed to happen. And from that oftentimes comes new worthwhile things.
Yeah. And the thing you want to understand is, like, we talked a lot on this podcast about Wagner today, right? And why do we talk about Mozart? Why do we talk about Wagner? Why do we talk about Bach? Because they're the people that changed music. They're the people that we can say, that person turned music in a new direction that created this.
Exactly.
Then the next person turned it this way.
Their job was not to preserve something old. It was to do something new. And these people are doing something new.
But also, there are a lot of musical genres that have come and died. Jazz is already almost dead, I swear. And it's only been alive for like 50, 60 fucking years. You know what I mean? Like, art forms pop up and go away all the time. You talk about Renaissance music and all these different subgenres that existed. Opera has withstood the test of time until now because it has changed so much.
Yeah.
Opera is, if you look at music history, if you really look at music history, opera has become or is one of the most adaptable, diverse art forms that's ever existed. And you look at Wagner and compare that to like early opera. You know what I mean? Look how fucking different that is.
Yeah.
That's way more different than what Il Divo is doing to opera. If you look at fucking Philip Glass,
they're
right?
not even
and
doing
you compare
opera,
that
they're
to
just doing
fucking Handel,
concerts.
you know what I mean?
You can't even say they're doing anything for or against opera because they're not doing opera, they're doing concerts. Doing a concert of opera, selections of opera, is in no way opera.
Yeah.
So why are we even? Then the question becomes, why are we even having the fucking conversation?
Right.
Does everybody really only do classical music on their? I've seen serious classical musicians do musical theater pieces on their recitals.
Mm-hmm.
Should they be regarded in the same way as Il Divo? I'm sorry, it's a fucking concert. You can do whatever you want.
Two things. One,
give me two of them. Give me two things.
One, I find. I find that the opera world is less open to this than the classical world. Every time I feel like someone does fucking Pachelbel's Canon on a guitar, or Beethoven's Fifth on an electric guitar, or they do fucking whatever on whatever instrument that you normally would never hear that on, you know, toccata and fugue on a fucking butt trumpet.
Which, by the way, can I mention an interesting fact about that toccata and fugue? There are some because when he wrote his fugues, they were an open score, which means the voices were, you would see 5 different lines. The voices were, you would be basically reading an orchestral score, right? And putting them together. Violin, whenever it was did fugues, was oftentimes written as the same way. There are some people who suggest that the toccata and fugue that we know and love, da-da-da, da-da-da-da, was meant to be performed on the violin.
Yeah.
And I've heard a convincing performance of it on the violin before.
Yeah.
So just saying.
Right, you know what I mean? I think the classical world is like, you do toccata and fugue in D minor on an electric guitar and it's convincing. I think people kind of like, yeah, all right. You know what I mean?
Chris Thile is an amazing bluegrass mandolin player.
Yeah.
Maybe the most convincing Bach I've ever heard.
Yeah.
He plays the violin partitas and sonatas on his you got to look it up, dude, on his mandolin, and it is crazy good. He has such a feel for it, and the sound on a mandolin of Bach's music is incredible.
Yeah.
So
but the thing,
your point is well taken. To why can they do it and we can't?
But the thing is also, okay, like, there's this metal group my brother used to and I used to listen to. I can't remember what it's called. It's called something hilarious like Man of War or something. And it's like
Are
over
you
the top.
talking about the medieval music they did?
No, I'm talking about Nessun Dorma.
Oh, I don't know that.
There was a metal group, and this guy's mom was a big fan of opera, and she died or something. I can't remember the story, but they record like Nessun Dorma, like this. And you know what? If you get past like the Puccini and stuff, I can't remember. It was like 10 years ago I last heard it, but it was somehow convincing, I think. And it's like, why like when Sting did this fucking
I mentioned that
Flow
before.
Mine Tears or whatever the fuck it was.
No, he did Caro Mio Ben.
I thought it was Flow Mine Tears.
Well,
My tears.
he might have. I haven't heard that one.
Yeah.
But I did hear him do a live performance at a huge concert of Italians do Caro Mio Ben.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned it on one of the podcasts before. It is still, to this day, the most convincing performance of it that I've ever heard.
Well, and the thing is,
it sounds weird to say, but it was honest. It was more honest somehow.
But to bring it back on track a bit, it's like, does an electric guitar player playing toccata fugue in D minor diminish the orchestral or the organ, standard that the piece was intended for?
No, of course
you know
not.
What I mean?
You always have a million recordings of those you can go listen to.
Right. So if a pop singer sings Canio's aria in a bit more of a poppy way, does it diminish the operatic standard that exists for the aria?
This is a shitty thing that we're talking about right here. We're not even talking about a pop singer singing. We're talking about trained, classical musicians
Yeah, yeah.
doing it slightly differently than what is traditional, and people freak out about it.
Yep.
When I was young, I told the story before. When
Yeah.
I was young, I was one of those people, and I regret it.
Yeah.
It's wrong to be that. In my opinion,
It's wrong.
it's wrong.
I think the thing is, people are not afraid of what's happening; they're afraid of what's coming. I mean, that's what fear is. It's an unknown about the future. You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
very conservative idea. It's funny that you would say that. A lot of the people having these fears are probably very liberal people. They should then not be so conservative about the culture that they live in. What is going to come is going to come.
Yeah.
People will do and create what they fucking want to do and create, and we shouldn't get in their way.
And here's the thing: is like,
I feel passionate about it.
oh, geez, bark, bark. Adding to opera, I would always argue, is not a bad thing. Yeah, we have enough Verdi and Wagner, and we have enough recordings of Anna Netrebko and Renee Fleming, and everyone's singing that. There's a good catalog of that. Adding something to that group, I think, is never bad.
Definitely.
But then if we talk about bastardizing something and making something become what it was not intended, that, I guess, is a fair conversation to have. But you also, my point is, you also have to remember that we talked about Wagner a lot today. At his time, when he was writing music, when Donizetti, when Mozart, when these people were writing music, a lot of critics were saying, this fucker is ruining what music is.
Yeah.
And then now, retrospectively, we look back and we thank those people for what they did and where it led us in music. But a lot of them were hated and rejected in their time. Carmen, we talked about Carmen, Bizet. People fucking hated that shit.
We once talked about, though, interpretation. And I said that music is no longer theirs. That Mozart doesn't. It's not Mozart's music anymore. It's my music to interpret, and it's the only way it's interesting. If you're doing what Mozart wanted, then fuck it. You can get one thing. You can get one hearing of it, and then you know what it is. But if the artist is able, and that's the only way you are an artist, if you're able to interpret it in how you need to interpret it, then that's when it lives.
Yeah,
that's when music lives again.
Yeah. And what's interesting is if you look back at time, you look back at Mozart and Bach and everything, it's funny how art always corresponds. Like architecture, paintings, and music, they all do the same thing. Like in the Renaissance and all these times where they were doing like ornate, godlike stuff or romantic, they were romanticizing things. You saw it in everything.
Yeah.
And at the time period, and like we said it once too in an SDO university, all these labels get attached to these things retrospectively.
Yeah.
Right? And at the time, like, romantic composers were not like, I'm being romantic.
Right.
You know, and so when you try to define the genre we're in now, you can't do it. You look at the architecture, the clothing, the fashion, the art, and everything, try to define it. You can't really do it.
Can I say something about you? I want to say something about you.
What, me?
Yeah, you.
All right, man.
Wagner is oftentimes credited as being the beginning of movie music. The person who wrote, I think it was, I can't remember who wrote the music for the old King Kong movie, right? Mm-hmm. Straight up credited Wagner saying, this was the beginning of, you could oftentimes think of Wagner as symphonic works accompanied by something else up on stage, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or with the other stuff up on stage. And that's how he treated his scores. Mm-hmm. I mean, we now think of, come on, Darth Vader has a theme. Luke Skywalker has a theme.
Yeah, that's motifs, yeah.
They have fucking motifs. They have light motifs.
Yeah.
So Wagner then influenced movies, right? Mm-hmm. It seems to me the way you wrote our mini opera, movies influenced you as well.
Sure.
It seems to be going into movies and out of movies, and that's right.
Well, all of art is becoming, digital in some way.
Yeah,
you know what
that's
I mean?
true.
I mean, I saw a Lord of the Rings concert last week, 2 weeks ago. I can't remember when that was. And if you've never gone to one of these things...
You didn't even tell me you were going to that, by the way. I had no fucking idea. Kiki posted something about it.
We don't talk all the time, you know?
Yeah, I know, but come on. Let me in your world.
Fine, next time we're spooning it, I'll whisper in your ear.
World.
Listen, okay, so I went to this thing, and... when you watch Lord of the Rings on the movie, of course there's music going on, but when you watch someone composing an orchestra to the movie, or not composing, directing an orchestra to the movie live, do it at least once in your life. It's a good experience because then you will realize how very much, the movie is outlined with different sections. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like monologue is without music, and then there's like a cue word, orchestra in. It's exactly like musicals. We haven't gone that far from that. Or how much music is affecting what they're saying. Like line, ba-num, line, ba-num. You know what I mean? And the director has to be very good at this. But movies in general are very operatic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And now we're in this whole social media, Instagram. We experience life through our phones, and there's these people on Instagram that create amazing digital art or things that are adapted to the medium in which people are experiencing art. You know what I mean? They create things, and that's what we try to do with our mini opera: is how do we condense opera into a fucking Instagram clip? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying we found it. We plan to do more. We're searching, but that's something a lot of people aren't doing.
You. The cookie was mine.
No, but how do you?
No,
but you know what I mean.
That shit. Get right.
So the point is when you talk,
as soon as you write it.
But so when you talk about to get away from music, you talk about technologies and inventions, and people always talk about sci-fi and where is the world going, where's society going, technology. It's always something you can't see. It's like when there was the horse. And then there was some competition once, and they tried to talk about the next invention, and so people made an iron horse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Well, no, I'm thinking of different things, but go ahead and explain it.
People thought that after the horse, the next logical step is we make a horse out of metal, and nobody could conceptualize the car that came. Yeah, because everyone was only trying to recreate what exists, and opera's the same way. Like you're gonna try to recreate what we have.
Yeah.
You know.
Wait, I gotta go back and say a couple of these things. One. I think I even mentioned this in the last podcast. If I'm repeating myself, I do it all the time. My wife has to deal with it. Now you guys have to fucking deal with it.
Nice.
Somebody wrote a New York Times article saying like, yeah, and it was a fucking scientist saying we'll be able to fly, but maybe in the next 150 years, in 18 or something.
Right.
That very same year is when the first flight was had by the Wright brothers, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing was I once saw these illustrations talking about what the year 2000 would be.
Okay.
The most ridiculous shit.
So the balloons?
Balloons with fucking or people walking on water with little boats on their feet and stuff. It's impossible. You know, I once heard a scientist talk about how a sufficiently advanced culture to us would be indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah. Yes.
If they're close enough to us, you can just say, well, that's this technology. But who knows? A civilization that has this sufficient technology might be able to just travel between dimensions the way we travel from one bedroom to the next.
Yeah.
And them popping in and out of our existence would just be like magic to us, but it would be child's play to them.
Yeah, like when we talk about getting to another planet, people always talk about like light speed, and we don't think about bending space or something like that.
That's right. That's right. What's the drive called? Where
hyperdrive? What?
The hyperdrive, I think it is, right? Where it doesn't accelerate you; it bends
space in front of you.
It contracts space in front of you and inflates it behind you, so that you naturally fall to the contracted space or something like that.
Yeah.
Which means that you can travel faster than the speed of light because it's the rule with physics is that you can't travel faster than the speed of light through space.
Yeah.
Because what happens is your mass actually increases as you travel faster, which means that you need an exponentially the closer you get to the speed of light, you need an exponential amount of energy to get that tiny percentage point more.
Right.
And eventually you need an infinite amount of energy. And your mass will be infinite, which is impossible, of course.
Yeah.
Right, but this hyperdrive that they're talking about is you get around that just by bending the space. So you stay basically in the same space.
Yeah.
So you're not traveling through it. It's just that you're bending it around you and it pushes you forward.
Instead of rolling the ball to the ketchup bottle,
I like that you do it, baby.
You pull the tablecloth to you, okay?
You know, Jared and I are two fucking nerds.
I know. We got to wrap this up, though. So
this has to do with Wagner and Il Divo.
No, it does. Because what we're talking about is kind of, if you love something, let it go and see if it flies back. Let me make this point, man. If you love something, you let it go, let people take it and kind of create something with it. And that person that creates something new with it, they might not do it, but they might inspire somebody else to do the next thing. But it definitely will not be what you predict. So this Il Divo stuff, and don't take it at face value. You know what I mean? Take it as people trying something new. Someone will not secretly create the next big thing in opera and then just release it to the world next day. That's not how innovation exists. Even Wagner has a bunch of shit we don't listen to. People try and try and try, and it gets refined. It gets refined.
he was influenced by the very person that he shit on.
Yeah.
He said he thought he pretended like he always did. He had an idea and then he pretended like history existed at that moment first,
Yes.
right? He had this entire set of influences through Meyerbeer and Freischütz and stuff like that. And Beethoven and everybody who existed before him. He had all of these influences and then just said, well, now it's new. No, it wasn't, fucker.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't,
No.
you hockey puck fucker.
And so new things do not necessarily erase old things. Don't think like Wagner.
Nope.
Okay? You can't stop the past.
You can't stop it.
erase the past. All right, that's it for us. We're going to release another episode here later in the month. We're trying to get a guest for you.
We got the guest, baby. He's recording.
Do you
He's
want?
in.
Do you want to announce it?
This is a guy who came to Germany and lived the German dream and became something called a Kammersänger, which
is an
an
honor.
official title.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And this is one of my he's one of my closest friends. I love this guy. For all you Irish people out there, he's an Irishman, so we're going to have Mr. Kammersänger Paul Brady on for the next podcast.
Oh, it'll be a good one.
Let's get it!
All right, so have yourself a happy holiday season, whatever you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate anything, then just
I don't know, go out and
just be upset, you know?
just be whatever. Who the fuck cares?
Okay, see you next time.
See ya!